Hi there, Amba Washte. My name is Jolie Bigil Kakwedaway, and I'm an interdisciplinary artist, and I love to create anything around buffalo, or tatanga, as we say. I write stories about buffalo, I paint buffalo, I'm working on some sculptures, mini sculptures around buffalo, and I also coordinate events around Buffalo, like Buffalo Day for July 1st. But my background, my academic background and where I went to school was for mathematics and engineering. So I'm here today to talk about everything that I do and what inspires me and how I got to be where I am today. So I when I was younger and learning to figure out what I want to be in this world, I looked around and I saw that one of the things that we needed from on my First Nation, I'm from Whitebear First Nation in Southeast Saskatchewan. We needed people to help look after things like housing, water, roads, even the sewer, right? What do we do with our wastewater? And so I thought, well, I have to go to school for that. I love project management. I love, looking after projects, big or small, and so I went to school because I wanted to help my First Nation. And so I went to the University of Calgary, and I ended up meeting a lot of different people, and I ended up meeting a lot of artists. One of the artists that inspired me in Calgary was this young lady. She was young, but she loved to play a character of a kukum or a grandma, or you can say kushi in Nakota. And so what she would do as part of her act was she would dress up like a kukum. She would put on some makeup that would make herself look a little bit older, have some lines, and then she would put a scarf on, almost like the scarf I'm wearing. And then she would tell stories as a kukum. And so, I was really inspired watching her. She did this one show where she came out as a kukum, and then she started to take off her kukum makeup, take off her scarf, and then she was young again. And I thought, wow, what a great storyteller. So I loved hanging around with her. And I think that's kind of where my journey began as wanting to become an artist. If I look back at it, but part of why I'm here today, I don't work as an engineer anymore. I did work as an engineer for 7 years here in Regina. I did different kinds of engineering, and not everybody always asks. Even my children ask me. I have 5 children. They ask me, what does an engineer do? And sometimes it's hard to say, an engineer does this thing. Engineers can do so many different things. It's not just about project management. It's not just about designing bridges. Some people jokingly think it's, a train engineer, but no, but maybe we would be involved in designing the train and the mechanics behind making the train run and get started on the tracks. But I know for one thing, engineering is all around me and all around everybody. So, I'm really happy that I went to school and got my engineering degree because, at one time in my life, I had thought I would be president of a company, any company that I wanted to be, or I could run any organization that I wanted to. The doors are really open to me as an engineer. And so I had aspirations to do that. But, I'm a human being, and things come into your life that make you decide, maybe I need to make a change. And so, for me, that was about 2010. So I know some of you guys might not remember 2010, but for me, that was only 11 years ago. And in 2010, I started to, wanting to know more about who I was, because I knew I was Indian. Growing up, I knew I was Indian, but I never knew I was what that meant. And I started to find out I was not just Indian, I was Nakota, I was Cree, I was Soto, and I was an engineer. And I wanted to know what does all of that mean in terms of my mental health, my wellness, and my identity. And I started to find out that, I've always heard that education is a new buffalo. So that's why I went and got my education. But now I felt like I still needed to fill a part of me that was missing. And the part that was missing was my identity. And so I started to go searching for it. And the biggest indicator, the biggest thing that I found that was a part of my identity was buffalo. And if you live in North America, then you're a part of the Buffalo Nation. Tatanka Oyate, part of the Buffalo Nation. So as I walked down this path of wanting to discover what that meant, being connected to the buffalo in the present, but also in the future, because I knew we were connected to the buffalo Tatanga in the past, which was, 150, 200 years ago. But what did that mean for me now? And what would that mean for my children? And so for me, I started to look for buffalo symbols, buffalo images, buffalo art. I started to look for those buffalo songs in our language. We started to attend events through the Buffalo Treaty, which is an important document, the first treaty that's been created between First Nations in Canada and the States, and the treaty is to bring back the buffalo. So my husband and I, we created a nonprofit called Buffalo People Arts Institute, and our mission is to bring back the buffalo mentally through knowledge, physically by feeding people buffalo meat, spiritually by hosting buffalo ceremonies and gatherings, and emotionally through identity. When I think of emotionally, I think of it like sometimes it feels like there's something missing in our lives after we've achieved a level of success. As an engineer, working in that field, between me and my husband, we were making quite a bit of money, but it still felt like something was missing. And so, when you achieve your goals, and that was, I had made a list and I had checked off my list. I got my degrees. I had a new car. We had purchased a house. And we were healthy, we traveled a little bit. But for me, the part that was missing in my life was that emotional connection to this Buffalo Nation. And so I started to become obsessed with it. And, I just want to mention as well, there were things that happened in my life. I had a mentor, and he ended up leaving the province, and so that was an important change for me, because we rely on our mentors. They help guide us. They're there for us to talk to when we need help. And so my mentor ended up leaving, and he ended up getting a really more successful position in another company. So he actually invited me to come work for his company in Edmonton, but I had made a home here in Regina, so I had to decline. And so I had to search for another mentor. And so, I found another mentor. And, and so he was with me until I ended up leaving engineering. And so I had to search for another mentor, but in this life of Buffalo. And so my mentors, when I think of who they are now, they're definitely my family. That most of what I do is with them in mind. My children, I have young children and adult children. I make my list, I make my goals, and with them in mind. My husband is my mentor. We each call each other our muse. So he's my muse, inspires me, and I'm his muse, I inspire him. But in terms of a community, who I go to ask for help, I go to my kushis, my cookums, my mother. I go seek out their advice. I go to sisters, blood sisters and sisters I've adopted. And when I say that, I mean like I've gotten along with this person, certain individual, this woman, and we've gotten along so good. We've connected that I'm saying, I want to adopt you as my sister. And so I do that. We hug, or we have ceremony, or we just agree to be sisters over a cup of tea. And so I have many sisters, and I go to them as my mentors. And so now, because I'm not an engineer anymore, I work as an artist, and I would say I work as an artist full time, because I get to choose what I want to do. And because of my engineering, though, a lot of what I do is I project manage Buffalo gatherings, whether it's a ceremony, whether it's a festival, whether it's an art workshop. I love to coordinate anything involving Buffalo in our community, and I especially make sure that anything that I do coordinate involves my cookums, my kushis. So now my heart feels fulfilled, and I feel like I'm following the path that I needed to follow. But in the back of my mind, I always know I have my engineering degree, and if I ever wanted to become president of a company, or run for politics, or create my own company, or apply for a position where I'm designing, or working in different areas like water, or housing, that I could do that. So I appreciate so much being able to have that engineering degree. I wish everybody got an engineering degree, because the doors open wide to anything that you can imagine doing in your life. I think that I'm blessed because I have my engineering degree. And so I'm still registered with the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists. I appreciate being a part of that. It's kind of like a brotherhood. Even though I'm not a male, I feel like I'm part of this brother/sisterhood, and I have that community that I still belong to, and I'm so grateful for to have that engineering background, because anything that I want to do, I know that opens doors for me. So it's helped me in my art career, and it'll help me in the next thing that I want to do, because who knows where I'm going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. But so I encourage all of you out there to seek out your passion. I'm a list maker. Write your list down, make it goals, and then figure out how to achieve those goals. If you need help, seek out mentors. If you don't have somebody near you that's a mentor, definitely seek out your cookums, your grandmothers, your mushums, your grandfathers. Seek out the ones who are older, because they know a lot, and they're always there for you to help guide you gently into whatever you want to pursue and whatever you want to attain. So thank you for listening to me. I want to say Panama'ai, Matakiwasan. Panama'ai means thank you. Matakiwasan means we're all related. And when I say we're all related, like I wish I could be in person with you to talk to you, to see your faces, to see, if some of you are sleeping, if some of you are wide awake, if some of you are eating or drinking, or just to be able to see your faces. And soon one day we'll be able to do that. But for now, I just say we're all related, and what I do affects you and what you do affects me. And so even in this way, through this imaginary tether that connects us right now, we're still connected. And so I'm just send gratitude out to all of you for listening. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and good rest of your time.